Two things before this video starts. One, this video is most likely going to be demonetized. If you guys do want to support the video, make sure you like and share the content. And if you guys want to go one step further, head over to the Patreon for moments like this where I want to talk about Nintendo Switch titles, because it is pretty much my main console that I've been using outside of PC. Go over to the Patreon so I can actually talk about this stuff without Nintendo ramming it up my ass with copyright claims. And number two, Ubisoft did provide me with a key for this game. I am going to take this opportunity to discuss the game as if I were to pay $70 and if I do find that the game is worthwhile. So don't think that because I got a review copy that I'm going to just shill. I'm going to give you guys exactly what I think about the game if I were to spend my own money on the title. So shout out to Ubisoft for the key. I appreciate it. Let's get into Starlink Battle for Atlas.
Legion reinforcements have arrived.
I've been playing Starlink and I have about 5 to 6 hours in the game right now. So this is like a first impressions. And I gotta say, like, I'm an old school Star Fox fan. I remember watching my dad play it on the Super Nintendo, and then when I was old enough, I played it there, played it on the N64, and then after Star Fox 64, I really kind of fell out of it. They went to the GameCube. I never owned one as a kid, and I missed out on all those Star Fox adventures. And then we had a Star Fox game come out here a couple of years ago. I believe it was on the Wii U, and I never picked that one up. Didn't own the Wii U, but I heard the game was fucking terrible. So when I came into this, I'm like, okay, so this game is basically Starlink, where they're telling their own story with their own set of characters, and then they're bringing, for the Nintendo Switch version, they're bringing the cast of Star Fox. So you got like Peppy, Slippy, Falco, and Fox McCloud in there. Wolf is actually in here as well. I am over the moon happy that this crossover happened, because this is almost the perfect game for that to happen. It feels like a Star Fox game. When I'm flying the R-Wing around, fucking shit up, and being able to add different weapons and guns onto it, which we're gonna get into, it feels like a return to form for Star Fox. And what I will say, just as a suggestion moving forward, I really think that Ubisoft should handle the Star Fox licensing for Nintendo moving forward. I really think that given the opportunity, Ubisoft could do an insane job at an actual just core Star Fox game. So far, I'm not going to spoil the story for you guys. There is a lot of different characters in the game, and how you unlock the lore for these characters I think is really cool. Basically, the game starts out and your captain is taken by somebody named the Warden and his crew called the Legion. You have to basically work to get your captain back. So in the beginning stages of the game, you're kind of exploring these two different planets with a lot of the character interaction being done over the radio. You have to do different like puzzles and different like movement puzzles to unlock these containers, which contain lore for each of the characters, because as this captain, like, he kind of kept logs for all of the different characters on where they came from. And I thought it was a really cool way to, like, as a side mission, actually unlock some of the more important things about the characters, and it's actually a really good way to do it. I'm not a big fan of doing a whole bunch of side quests in the game, but at the beginning, when you're doing that to kind of keep up with the actual characters, I thought that was a really unique way to do it. So you're fighting the Legion in the main storyline, and then if you want to know more about these characters, you can go and do different puzzles and jump puzzles and just different things to unlock these containers, which feature cutscenes that are like animated. And I just think the game itself, presentation wise, is really well paced at the beginning. The cutscenes, the full featured cutscenes that are like 3D rendered animations, the game is gorgeous. Playing it on a Switch, it actually kind of blew my mind at how good the game looks. When you got the Star Fox characters walking around interacting with these other characters, the game just looks awesome. And then when you have the lore for the characters, it's kind of like a more like a cartoon, kind of like still frame animated, and kind of explains their backstory. And I thought that looked good too. The presentation, like I said, is top notch. And the gameplay, when we actually get into it, the gameplay really reminds me, now don't take this the wrong way, it reminds me of No Man's Sky in the sense of, if I'm on a planet, I can fly anywhere on the planet. And then if I want to fly out into the solar system, I can do that. And then fly to another planet, you can do that. The game has like a hyperdrive feature where like you can fly a lot faster through space, or if you've been to the planet already and established your like base or your area of operation, you can then fast travel back between those planets, which is cool. Fighting out in open space when you have like 360-degree movement, seeing as Star Fox 64 was really the last game of Star Fox that I played, I'm really not used to be able to fly around in like open space and fight like this in an R-Wing. So for me, this felt like from where we were on N64 to now feels like a natural advancement to what I would expect out of a Star Fox game in 2018. Now with that, you can customize your ships, have a whole bunch of different guns on each side, different wings. You can have like flamethrowers, or like there's one called like a volcano launcher, which just like ramps up this red laser. The more you hold it, the faster it shoots. There's like freeze rays, there's shock waves. There's so many different modifications that you can put on your ship. On top of that, you can then level up your pilots, which you have 3 different loadouts. When you die, you can then bring back one of your other loadouts. I think if you die, I want to say it's 5 times, then the game is over. You have to start back from wherever your checkpoint is, but you can then respawn with different loadouts. So you can set different loadouts with different pilots, and it's really awesome. Like, it's actually really fun to fucking play as Star Fox flying around. When you hit your pilot ability, you can obviously have different like modifications on your pilot. Star Fox's pilot ability is fucking awesome as a Star Fox fan, because you can hit it and it starts with the Super Nintendo like tin 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 tin.
Star Fox, warm up on me.
Slippy here. Let's go.
This one ain't worth the trouble. Let's scram.
And it like the music just ramps up, and then your team flies in, so you're flying next to Peppy, Falco, Slippy, and it's amazing. It's just, honestly, as a person who hasn't played a game like this since I was a kid, it just feels so natural. I love it. One thing I was concerned about, I didn't really look into this game a lot going into this, but I did see a couple of gameplay trailers where they were flying around in open space, and watching the game and watching how the ship flies, it looked like the controls were a little bit strange, and the handling of the ships in open world was a little bit odd. It felt a little like kind of clunky to me. Playing it though, it feels a lot better. But what I will say, I've played a lot of this game in the handheld mode for the Switch. I really feel that this game is meant to be played on a controller. So you dock the Switch, you can pull your Joy-Cons out and play them on like the little Joy-Con controller, or if you have a Pro controller. I feel like that's the best way, because when you're doing aerial maneuvers and trying to shoot, the sweatiness of it and trying to fly around and do it, just playing in handheld mode gets a little bit tough, especially you have to hit your boost with A and then control with the joystick. The controls are a little bit strange, but you get used to it really fast, and it's something that you can overcome. But I feel like, just for me, the optimum way to play it on the Switch anyway is with a Pro controller. Obviously, for most of the games that I play, that's how I would want to play it, but you can play it in handheld, and it's not really that big of a deal. When you were on the planets, a lot of the gameplay is like you're hovering and kind of like flying around, like pretty much like 10 feet above the ground. And what I was worried about when it started that was that this gameplay was going to be like super boring, where you're just like hovering around the planet and not really doing much. What I will say though, they've made that pretty entertaining. There's different like hives and different encounters that you run into as you're flying from objective to objective. You're trying to get fuel at the beginning and unlocking that while doing jump puzzles and stuff like that. They did a pretty good job at making the on-planet stuff entertaining. But what I will say, for me, the 360-degree aerial combat is where this game shines. I enjoy it a lot. The game is dope. Like, I gotta say, for something that I wasn't really watching, I was at the E3 conference this year for Ubisoft, and when they showed Starlink, I'm like, yeah, this seems kind of cool. And then they showed Star Fox. I'm like, I remember I was sitting in the audience and I just got goosebumps, because like I said, I haven't seen a Star Fox game in such a long time, and I feel like this is Star Fox. If you're playing it on the Switch, this is Star Fox. If you were playing it on the PlayStation or the Xbox, not having those Star Fox characters in there would, I guess, kind of be a little bit cheap, but the gameplay still holds up when you're playing other pilots. There's so much modification and customization in this game that it's actually ridiculous. Now, they wanted me to promote this thing where you can like mount the ship on top of your controller and get toys and all that stuff. I have no idea about any of that shit. Like anything to do with like amiibos and other like toy accessories for control. You guys, I don't give a fuck about that. Let's talk about the actual gameplay of what you're paying for. And what I will say is I really enjoy the game. I think it's really fun. I'm going to be playing it. I'm going to beat this game probably 100% because it's one of those games where you can just jump in. Oh yeah, your objective's there, fly there, boom, done. And it's something that you can just consistently come back to. I've docked it a couple times, just come back a couple hours later, know exactly what's going on, fly around, and it's fucking awesome. Like, I feel, honestly, I feel like a kid again playing it. So here's what I will say. For the people who are on the fence for it, I would say just wait until it comes down in price. Nintendo does a really good job of putting it on sale. You guys might actually get it with a Games with Gold or a PlayStation Plus in the future as well. If you guys are on the fence, it's one of those things that I don't feel like the game is like, oh, I need to play this right now type of game. But it is a solid product. It is a good game. And there is a lot, like I keep talking about the presentation, it is like a full-fledged game. I haven't seen any microtransactions in it. That might change in the future, who knows? But what I will say is, if you guys are looking at this and you're waiting, maybe wait for it on a sale or something like that. It's not something, it's not a Red Dead Redemption 2. It's not a Game of the Year type of game, but it is a solid product. It is a fun as fuck game. If you have a Switch and you're looking for it on the Switch, I think this is a must-own for this year. Switch doesn't have a lot of, like, really, really great games. They drop maybe 1 or 2 a year. If you're buying this on the Switch, I highly recommend it. On the consoles, you guys got a lot of things coming out here. It's Broketober, so I would understand if somebody were to look at this and be like, yeah, I'm going to skip it. But I will say is it's something that you guys maybe should play if you could get it on a sale maybe sometime in the future. My name is Big Fry. Thank you guys for watching. Again, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is most likely going to be demonetized, which means it's not going to be promoted in the YouTube algorithm. So if you guys could like and share the video on social media. And shout out to Ubisoft again for hooking me up with a deluxe edition of the game. I'm pretty fucking stoked about it, to be honest with you. I don't do reviews that often because I always get put into a crunch mode where I'm not really even focusing. I'm just trying to get through the content as fast as possible. And I don't think that's the way that games should be experienced. And what I will say is, Ubisoft, thank you guys for the codes, but I think you really need to look at embargo dates versus when you're actually handing out the keys. I'm sure the big guys like IGN and stuff get their stuff faster, but for guys like me, I want to experience it and I want to give my opinions, but I don't want to do it crunched into 2 whole days. That's just not enough time to experience this game in total. So thank you guys for watching yet again. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you guys think. I know this isn't a tactical shooter, this isn't an FPS, but it is something that I definitely wanted to talk about on the channel. I appreciate you guys watching. If you made it this far, thank you, and I'll see you on the next one.